It started with an ambitious plan. Over the next 45 days, I was going to hike up 10 mountains: Bear Mountain and Lion's Head, Mount Greylock, Franconia Ridge, Mount Washington, Cadillac Mountain, Mount Katahdin, Height of Land, Mount Mansfield, Cascade Mountain, and Mount Marcy. And along the way, I was going to take as many photos as possible. In the end, I would only make it to 6 peaks. But I would take some of the best photos of my career along the way. This is the story of that adventure. These are my adventures in accidental tourism. This was a major change of pace for me. A month earlier, I was working 9 to 5, and now I was living out of my car full-time to film my first documentary. I had no real plan, just a goal to hike 10 mountains and take as many photos as I could. And while I was no stranger to the outdoors or hiking, this would be like nothing I had ever done before. While I would consider this to be the best adventure of my life so far, it had a rocky start. From the beginning, I had high expectations for myself. I hadn't really hiked in months, but figured I could jump right into an 8-mile day hike. So while I planned to hike to Lion's Head and continue to the peak of Bear Mountain, I would only make it to Lion's Head before turning back. At the very least, I got to see a great view from Lion's Head. But it was also incredibly hot that day. But I tried to enjoy it the best I could, while hopping in and out of the shade to take pictures. And these were a few of the shots I took. Physically exhausted from the hike up and the heat, I decided it was time to go back to the car. I was disappointed that I didn't reach Bear Mountain, so I decided to hike it the next day. And this hike would be a bit more interesting than the last. I started hiking pretty early in the morning, to avoid the heat as much as possible. In total, I would be covering about 5.5 miles. And while I fully intended to hike up Bear Mountain, I did not intend to hike up in the rain. I was still determined to reach the top, and I had a way to protect my camera gear, so I continued on. And by the time I reached the peak, the sun had come out. After enjoying the view for some time, I made my way back to the car. So, Just finished hiking Bear Mountain, back in the car, cooling off now, got the AC blasting. I don't really have anything left to do in this area, so I think I'm just gonna head on to Mount Greylock next. It's gonna take me about an hour and a half to get there, and yeah. From here I started towards Mount Greylock and stopped at a scenic pond along the way. And after admiring the local wildlife, I continued on, eventually reaching the mountain just before sunset. And I figured it was the perfect time for a quick drone flight. A little while later, the sun began to set. And of course, I took some more photos. The sunset was beautiful, but the sunrise was even better. Yeah, so I managed to motivate myself enough to get out here early enough for sunrise. I think I've gotten definitely some of the best photos of the trip yet. It's really cool. There's a lot of wind farms along the tops of the hilltops out here. Got some really cool photos of the sunrise behind those. Probably been here about a half hour, 45 minutes at this point. I'm gonna pack up my stuff pretty shortly and start getting out of here, go find something to eat for breakfast, and then on to hiking for the day. I decided not to hike up Mount Greylock because I didn't think I could handle it yet, and I had already seen the best parts, so I moved on. So I'm going up the Indian Trail today, as you can see behind me. It's going to be 1.25 miles to the point. I'm going to turn around there and then come back. I'm going to start hiking. Yeah, I'll keep you updated. Yeah. This is one heck of a steep trail. I was talking to the ranger at the gate for a little while though, and she said that apparently all the steepness is pretty much right at the beginning, so ideally it won't be too much more of this, and then it'll level out for a bit and it'll be a bit of a nicer hike. The upside, it'll be all downhill on the way back through this part, so that'll be cool. Anyway, yeah, gonna keep trucking. Yeah, so the trail, since the last time I talked to the camera, has not really let up. So, made it to the top. I'm gonna hike back down pretty shortly. Nothing too spectacular about this view, but it is pretty nice overall. Quite honestly, I didn't take any worthwhile photos here. And a short while later, I headed back to the car to go looking for a campsite. As it turns out, there isn't much in Massachusetts, so I went to Vermont. So, I'm now at Windhall Brook Campground, which is a place that I frequent a couple times a year with friends, and we try to stay here for a weekend at a time. Tomorrow is going to be my first real day of actual hiking here in Vermont, I think, but tonight I still want to do something. I got here pretty late last night, set up my tent and everything. So I went to bed around midnight and thought I was going to get a pretty good night's sleep, but then I woke up this morning to pouring rain, which was not a whole lot of fun, considering that I also didn't set up a tarp last night. So I had to scramble out of bed in a couple of seconds and then make sure everything got in the car and didn't get wet, which was good. Made sure all that happened, but did not get a whole lot of sleep. Hopefully that'll change tonight. I actually went to Walmart today and got myself a new tent. I should be nice and dry tonight, and if I'm not, I'm just gonna give up now. That's it. I'm packing up and going home. No, just kidding. But yeah, hopefully tonight I'll be nice and dry. Well, when I'm sleeping anyway. My plan for tonight is to go hiking, and according to the weather forecast, might rain in a little bit. But as you guys have already seen, I'm no stranger to rain, and it doesn't actually bother me all that much. Because like I said, I'll be able to come here and get cleaned up after the fact. So I'm gonna get my stuff packed up, and I'll update you guys once I start getting ready to roll out pretty much. I just gotta pack the camera stuff, a couple supplies, my rain gear, and then we're heading out to this trail. Let's just say I didn't expect what would happen next. So everything went to shit last night. I left the campground to go on a nice sunset hike in the rain, and car broke down. Don't know what exactly is wrong, but I'll be amazed if it gets fixed today. I'll be amazed if I figure out what's wrong today. I'm trying to figure out what I'm even doing tonight. I left my tent and sleeping pad set up at the campsite, which is about 5 miles away from here. I broke down about 15 miles away, got towed to this shop, which is about 5 miles from the campsite. Like I said, I have my tent and everything set up there. The thing is, everything else is in my car here. All the camera equipment, everything, all my clothes, most of the stuff I'll need for tonight, because like I said, the only thing set up there is my tent and sleeping pad, which it rained hard last night, and I haven't tested that tent yet. I'll personally be amazed if anything is still dry there. Right now I'm chilling at the dealership waiting for them to tell me, or the repair shop, waiting for them to tell me what's wrong. The car will start, but it won't stay running. I got really lucky last night when I broke down, because I was at Townsend Dam, and where I broke down, I broke down right outside this guy's house, and luckily he took me in and let me stay at his place for the night. I'm talking to him, and the dude that took me in was a used car salesman. So luckily he told me all the places to call, all the places to go around here, told me the kind of the ins and outs of who's good, who's not. So he recommended me this repair shop that I'm at right now, and hopefully they'll tell me what's wrong with the car. Now, one of two scenarios is going to happen. One of three scenarios. Scenario one, the fuel pump's busted, and the fuel filter's busted, which means that's a $1,500 part, which is very hard to get around here. And if that's the case, that leads me to scenario two. If I'll either pay for that part, or I'll go back to the guy that took me in last night and I'll just buy a used car. Scenario three, which would be absolute best case, is it's just some other stupid little part and then we'll be able to replace it and go. But I won't know until they get out here and they toss a code reader on the car. Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now, but it's gonna be a long day, I think. Luck was on my side, and after waiting almost all day, my car was fixed in under an hour. That was stressful, but we're all set now. Apparently I had a clogged air valve and a pretty messed up throttle body, but like I said, that guy from earlier recommended me a good shop. I got in about an hour ago. They finally, you know, they looked at my car, they cleaned everything up, and I'm running good as new. So I'll be able to get on the road to all my next destinations and everything. And God, I'm just so happy. I thought this trip was completely derailed. I thought I was gonna have to buy a new car. Thought I was screwed, but now I'm so good. Everything is so fine. I mentioned yesterday before I left on my night hike, which went wrong, that I had just bought this tent yesterday at Walmart, and I was not sure how it was going to hold up in the rain. I didn't get to actually fully test it last night because I wasn't here to sleep in it, but when I got back to camp, I went and checked it out, and surprisingly, it's pretty dry inside. Like, there's a little water around the edges, because you can see that it wasn't fully covered with the tarp too well. Yeah, it's dry inside though. Like, my sleeping bag, my sleeping pad, everything is dry, so I think it'll hold up again tonight. Okay, so now that the car is all fixed, and considering that I missed my hike yesterday because the car broke down, I decided today that I was going to just take a little hike before sunset and see what kind of images I can capture. So I came out to Lowell Lake State Park, which is a park I've been to a few times before, and every time I've come here, I've hiked around. I think it's a great area, but I've taken a lot of photos, but I've never captured anything I've been super proud of. Nothing I'd really consider a keeper, and nothing really worth putting in my, portfolio. So I decided I'd come out here today and see if I can change that. I've got a pretty nice little mist rolling in over the water, and it looks like that'll be really setting in pretty shortly. It'll actually be really nice, I think, if it starts raining pretty soon. So I think I'm just gonna hang out here for a little while, see what kind of images I can capture, and yeah, hopefully it'll be pretty good. After a beautiful sunset by the lake, it was time for another big hike. This morning I left the campground I was staying at. I had to check out, and I decided that I'm going to stay in Vermont for the next couple days anyway, because the national forest is right nearby and I can set up a tent pretty much anywhere. So I'm going to be camping out here for the next couple days still while I figure out exactly what I'm going to be doing next. But for the time being, I decided I'm going to challenge myself on a hike today, and I'm going to hike up Bromley Mountain. So I'm going to be heading up. It's about a 6-mile hike, which is about a mile longer than what I've done before, but yeah, we're going to figure it out. Hey, we're going to see. Hopefully it'll be a good challenge, and hopefully the view from the top is going to be awesome. It's a beautiful day out, a little cloudy. I honestly kind of want it to rain a little bit just so it's not too hot, but I've got a couple liters of water on me, got all the gear. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good day.
So, after my hike up Bromley yesterday, I got some food and then I decided, hey, I'm just gonna go to the Green Mountain National Forest and find one of those roadside camps that I've slept at before and just set up camp there because I was not feeling like sleeping in the car again. Yeah, I came out here, set up the tent and the air mattress and got to actually lay out. And what I find happens every morning I set the tent up is I'll go to sleep at like midnight and I'll sleep until the sun comes up and hits the tent, and then it's absolutely unbearable with the heat inside the tent. So at that point I pretty much have to get up. But I mean, I got a pretty good night's sleep, and yeah, I think I'm gonna chill here for a little bit, write in my little travel journal, and I'm actually gonna clamp some trash here because this actually pisses me off a little bit. Where I'm camping here, I don't know if you can see the car behind me. No, you can't. I'll do a walkabout in a minute. I am probably about 15 feet from the car right this second. The tent is, 5 feet away from me here. And people left piles of trash here. There is no excuse for that. The car is right there. You can't carry it to the car right there. Seriously. Like, what is wrong with people? If you just leave your trash out here like this, you're a horrible person. I'm not even sorry for saying that. Pick up your trash. Pick up your trash, people. Come on, just do it. It's not hard. This is the one that infuriated me the most because not only is it a bag of trash sitting in the woods, but this is where you park to get to this spot. It's actually about, 3 or 5 feet from the car. You couldn't pick this up. It was already all bagged up. All you had to do was put it in your car. Come on, people. You gotta do better. So I'm gonna pack this up and take it out of here. Pick up some other trash, because there's a lot of it, actually. A bunch in the fire pit. I might leave some of the burnables in the fire pit. I might even have a small fire before I get out of here.
After picking up the trash, I took some time to write in my journal and reflect on the last few days. I also took some time to relax and enjoy the beautiful scenery surrounding me.
I sat down by the creek for probably a good couple hours just writing down everything that happened to me over the last couple days and a lot of my thoughts and just reflecting on it all, and I feel pretty good now. And I think today's gonna be a pretty chill day. I'd like to go somewhere for sunset if I can find some place. I don't want to do a huge hike today. I wouldn't mind going like a mile or two, I guess, for sunset, but nothing too crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna chill out for a little bit. I'm gonna deconstruct my camp, and I'm gonna figure out where I'm going next.
After spending a few minutes packing up my tent, I decided that I was done in Vermont for now, and that it was time to move on.
So welcome. We are now in the White Mountain National Forest in New Hampshire. After doing a lot of nothing yesterday, I decided last night to come out here to the White Mountain National Forest and move on to our next stop. It's time to get back on track, I think. So the plan is to hike Franconia Ridge in a couple days, but I gotta do some prep before then, because that's gonna be an 8-mile day hike, and I gotta prep a couple things. I gotta get a little bit more in shape. I gotta get used to hiking 6+ miles with gear. One of the first things I'm doing today is shrinking my load. On every other hike that I've done so far, I've been carrying the big 50-liter pack, and I was thinking about it last night. I think I can fit everything I need for the day in the 18-liter pack, which is the only other pack I have, so we're gonna give that a shot today. The only thing I really can't bring is the second tripod head, which is whatever. Nobody really cares about the technical stuff. Let's talk about my time in New Hampshire. Over the next few days, I spent a lot of time enjoying the campsite.
I also went for a hike up Mount Tecumseh. But not much needs to be said about this, except for that it was difficult and not very rewarding. It's not actually a great view from the top, wherever the top is. And while this was discouraging, I would start to have some great luck with photography over the next couple days. I'm gonna go on a sunset hike. I'm gonna go up to the top of Welch Mountain. It should be a pretty awesome view from up there. The clouds are up pretty high in the sky, so they should catch a lot of color. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a great hike. I'm gonna head out of here in probably about 15 minutes. Gonna start hiking around 5:30. Sunset should be around 8, so I'm giving myself plenty of time to get to the top. Hopefully this will be an awesome hike. The hike up was extremely interesting and a lot of fun. And I made it just in time for the sunset. We made it to the peak. There's an awesome view of the sunset right here to my left. I'm gonna start setting up the camera to take pictures of that, but oh my gosh, killer hike. Got really, really steep towards the top. But yeah, I think I'll be able to take some awesome shots from up here, and I'm excited. Back at camp the next morning, I discovered something interesting. So I'm hanging out the car this morning, eating breakfast, getting ready for the day and everything. And I realized that there's dirt all over the back window, like more so than normal. Because I mean, I've been driving down dirt roads and everything, and I'm expecting the car to get dirty, but there's full-on mud on one of my back windows, and it's not on any others. And then I was taking a closer look. It's not just mud, it's very specifically shaped mud. Shaped like a bear paw, actually. So there's one paw print there, which is kind of hard to see. It doesn't really look like a paw print too much. We got one right there, one pretty decent one there, and then the two most prominent ones are right here actually on the window. You can see that right there, that right there. Those are pretty clearly bear paw prints to me. We'll talk more about the bear later, but for now, it was time to hike again. Just got to the Artist Bluff trailhead and getting ready to start my sunset hike, and it is raining. Hopefully this clears up, but I think it's gonna actually still pose for some fairly interesting shots because there are a fair amount of breaks in the clouds, and it's actually a pretty short hike, so I'm gonna do it anyway, and yeah, hopefully this is cool. I'm gonna gear up and I'm gonna get hiking, see what the view is like up there, and hopefully we can get some good shots. This was a challenging but short climb. And it was very worth it once I got to the top. After this, my friend Jason came to join me for a few days. So the next night, I went back to Artist Bluff with him. Let's just say neither of us expected what would happen next. So, what's up? It's Nick and Jay, and we were just chilling in our camp making food, and what the fuck happened?
We had a bear incident.
Bear walked right up, stole
my bag of granola bars that was sitting about 10 feet away from us. He was a pretty good size guy too. He was like, what? He looked like he was a good couple 100 pounds. I mean, God, well, we brought a whole bunch of stuff up to the car, and then we thought that was that. And then we went back down to go get more stuff, and we picked our stuff up, and then we came back, and he was just chilling there. He came towards us, and we were like, well, we got to dip through the woods over there and get back to the car. So we did that, and here we are now. Boy.
I wonder if we can go back at all.
I have no idea right now. I'm like still fucking shaking, man.
I'm not happy about it.
No, dude, me either. I'm thinking about that nice warm campsite down there. I'm like, shit. Wow, I'm bummed right now. Super bummed.
One thing I did know about bears is they're super sneaky.
Yeah.
Sneak up on you.
I cannot believe, like, we just heard those like couple sticks break. And we're like, oh, it's nothing. It's just the stream. And then, nope, bear. Oh boy. We'll see if we can figure this out or not. I don't see anything. We returned to our camp a while later and eventually got some sleep. We didn't see the bear again. The next day, we would make an attempt on the Huntington Ravine Trail, which is known as the most dangerous trail in the White Mountains. It was a challenging and interesting hike, but unfortunately, we would have to turn back due to weather. Jason also had to go home at this point, so I was alone again. I feel a little guilty because I haven't really done too much nor talked to the camera a lot in the last couple days, but here we are. I decided to end my little streak of doing nothing by going out on a pretty decent hike. So today we're doing a 4.6 mile round trip up to Mizpah Hut and back. So we're starting at the AMC Highland Center out here in New Hampshire. This is another kind of unplanned hike, but I looked it up and it's a kind of crappy rainy day, but it's a nice hike up into the mountains, and I figured, hey, could probably get some nice shots up along the way. I'm thinking either tomorrow or the next day we'll be attempting Franconia Ridge. Today we're gonna knock out this hike though, and yeah, hopefully this will be a really cool setting. It's supposed to be a really nice forest setting, which I thought would be perfect for the rain and whatnot. So yeah, let's get hiking.
Needless to say, I was soaked after this, and so was my gear. So it was back to camp to dry off, and then I would spend the next day relaxing. And it was time to talk about my next steps.
I'm going to bed pretty early tonight, probably around 6 or 7 p.m., just because I have a pretty big plan for tomorrow, which is to hike Franconia Ridge. I've been reading some horror stories, like I mentioned before, though, and apparently people will show up at 5:30 a.m. and still, be hiking up in a line with a ton of people. I'm not sure how true that's going to be, considering that tomorrow is a Thursday. I'm really not sure what the crowds are going to be like, but we're going to see anyway. So my plan is to hike it for sunrise and then finish around mid-afternoon. So the plan is boots on the ground at 2:30 a.m., which means I'm going to have to find a campsite tonight, preferably close by to the trailhead. I'll get up at like 1:30, 2 o'clock-ish, drive to Franconia and start hiking from there. Hopefully that'll all go smoothly, because this is my last stop before I head up to Maine. And ideally I'm going up to Maine to go see my cousins, my uncle, and my aunt, who I don't typically see too often, so I'm pretty excited about that. They've got a pretty nice place up in Maine, real close to one of the sites I want to see. Actually, the only reason I know about the site, which is Height of Land, is because they drove me by it the last time I went to their house, which is, yikes, 6 years ago already.
So that was my plan, and I actually managed to execute it fairly well. The next time I talked to the camera, I was on top of the ridge.
And the wind is killer up here. I'm tucked into this little alcove right here just to kind of dodge it, but yeah, so I won't be able to talk to the camera too much up here. I'm gonna start pointing my camera at stuff up here. Man, it is unreal though. When they said this is one of the best views in the Northeast, they were not kidding. I'm still probably only about a third, maybe halfway done. It's about an 8.6 mile loop, it said. I've already done like 3 or 3.5 uphill, so that's gonna be good. Probably do another mile or 2 along the top of the ridge and then I go down. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and wow, they're just incredible. When I found some cover from the wind, I would snap a few photos. A short while later, the clouds would roll in, and I would begin my descent down the mountain. "11 and a half hours after I started, I was back at the car. I feel pretty good. I can actually cross something off the list. With that, I'm done with New Hampshire for now, and I'm moving on to Maine. I'm going up to go see my cousins who I don't get to see too often, which is cool. They have a house up in Maine, and I'm going to go hang out with them for a little bit. So it's going to be nice. I'm going to actually finally get to offload some stuff from the cameras. Gonna finally get to charge up my devices properly, and yeah, maybe have a nice shower and sleep in an actual bed. So I'm excited.
With that, it was time to enjoy the weekend. And after a relaxing weekend, it was time to move on.
We're in a new destination. I'm in Bar Harbor. The main thing I'm trying to do here is hike Cadillac Mountain, but this is a tourist destination and it is packed right now because it's summer. Hopefully I can find some nice hikes. Hopefully I can see some nice sunsets, but it is so busy here. It's incredible. Like, it's something else.
Even though the island was packed, I was going to explore and try and see as much as I could. A couple days later, I attempted to see the sunrise. While it was a cloudy and dreary sunrise, it turned into a beautiful day later on.
Today, I decided I'm not going to waste the day. I'm going to try to do a couple of the harder hikes here in Acadia. yeah, hopefully I'll be getting out of here within the next 15, 20-ish minutes, and yeah, have a nice hike and catch the sunset later, hopefully, if the weather doesn't turn to shit again.
Due to my late start, I would only hike the Precipice Trail that day, but it would become one of my favorite hikes of the entire trip. It started off like a fairly normal hike. Then it became a rock scramble. And then, well, you'll see. From here, it was a gradual walk back down to the parking area. But the day wasn't over yet. Since it was nearing sunset, I decided to finish the day by going to the top of Cadillac Mountain. I wasn't impressed with Cadillac Mountain at the time, simply because there were a lot of people. I tried my best to enjoy it anyway. While I wasn't impressed with Cadillac Mountain, what I would see next would greatly make up for it.
just got back to the car, and that quite honestly might have been the best sunrise of the trip so far. I got up this morning, set an alarm for 4 a.m., didn't really have a plan, and so, you know, at 4:15 I'm sitting in my car ready to go. I'm like, where the hell am I gonna go? I was thinking I would go to Cadillac Mountain. I'm like, it's kind of cliche, I thought. And then I was like, screw it, I'll just go back to Boulder Beach, and I'm glad I did. I was there with one other small group of people, and oh my God, it was killer. The colors were awesome. I was staying in my campground this morning. I almost didn't come out because I was looking up at the sky and I was like, it's really, really cloudy. But I looked over to the east where the sun would be rising and I could see stars. Couldn't see anything to the west, but I was like, you know what? That's good enough for me. I'm gonna give it a shot, and I'm glad I did. So I don't know what I'm gonna do from here. I'm probably gonna go back to the campsite for a bit, maybe take a nap. I don't know. I'm pretty awake though. Probably have some breakfast. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm gonna do today after that. Nothing can really top that after, God, such a kick-ass sunrise, but wow. This is why I came out here. This is why I do stuff like this. For the 1 in 100 times it works out. I shouldn't say 1 in 100. I've gotten other good shots other places. I know I have, but discounting Mount Greylock, this is probably the best sunrise of the trip so far. Still got 2 more weeks, so let's see if I can top it, but that's unlikely.
After this, my time in Bar Harbor was quickly coming to an end.
This is always the saddest part of having to deconstruct camp.
From here, I left Bar Harbor. And once again, I was deviating from the plan. I also began to realize that I wouldn't be able to complete all of my goals for the trip.
I don't have a whole lot of time left out here. I go home in 13 days, and according to the list, I still have 5 peaks to do. Didn't realize that the time is running out so quick.
I decided to prioritize hiking from this point on. And to get back in the swing of things, I would hike up a nearby mountain the next day.
So you can see right behind me right here, this is Sugarloaf. It should be about a 6-mile hike to the top. I was looking at, I'm just gonna do that. Jeez, I need to shave. Ugh, gross. Anyway, and the sun is beating in my face brutally right this second, but anyway. Yeah, so I'm gonna go and attempt to hike Sugarloaf pretty shortly here. Like I said, my friend Frank is coming up later on tonight, so I should have plenty of time though to go and try and knock out this hike and come back. I slept okay last night. I got woken up by rain this morning again, and so I had to retreat to the car because that tent really is not waterproof. Turns out that it didn't actually rain that hard, and I could have stuck it out in the tent, but I had no idea when it was actually going on. I just thought, make myself safe, don't get myself wet, you know, don't get my sleeping bag and sleeping pad wet, because then that won't be fun. I'll have to deal with that. I'll have to go figure out a way to dry that stuff out. So yeah, retreated to the car, slept another few hours in the car, and now I'm going to head out on my hike. As I'm saying that, I see these giant rain clouds rolling in. Hasn't deterred me before. This is going to be my first 6-mile hike in a little bit though, so gosh, I'm looking at the peak behind the camera right now and it's something else. God, it looks so cool. I really just want to get up there really badly. So cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna get on my way to this hike, and I guess I'll talk in a little while. I'm gonna go get to it. Sugarloaf Mountain, here we come.
This was a pretty standard hike for me, with some decent rock scrambling and spectacular views. Let's jump right into the fun part of it. During my hike, the clouds set in, obscuring the view from the peak, and it gave everything a sort of otherworldly feeling to it. After this, my friend Frank joined me for a few days. And while it was nice to relax and to have someone to talk to, I was beating myself up for not knocking out more peaks during this time. So after we parted ways, I decided to reattempt a mountain I had failed to climb before.
Okay, so I went to bed pretty early last night, got up this morning at around 6, I drove here to the Pinkham Notch Visitors Center, and I'm going to go start climbing the Huntington Ravine Trail. Going to go start hiking it. Yeah, so that's the plan for today, is we're going to ideally summit Mount Washington and come back. yeah, it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice day. It was cloudy up at the top when I was driving in, but I'm hoping that's going to clear up. I'm hoping more clouds don't roll in. It looks like it's going to be a pretty nice day. So yeah, it's going to be nice to finally get this one under my belt. 8-mile hike, so it's not the furthest I've done this trip. Yeah, so I'm finishing up breakfast right now, and yeah, gonna get hiking ideally within the next 10-15 minutes, and just gotta get my bag sorted out, really. That's it. And then I'm all set. Yeah. So, time to get going, I think.
A little ways in, I would pass the trail I attempted with Jason. I started this hike alone, but a couple miles in I ran into a group of hikers, and they asked me to join them, so I did. And eventually, we reached the summit together.
So we hiked up Mount Washington today.
Yeah,
It's the group.
We took Tuckermans. We saw Nick on the side of the trailer. We were like, Nick, do you want to hike with us? And Nick was like, yeah. Yeah. So now Nick's our home. Nick's our home.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Awesome.
And eventually, we would start on our way back down the mountain. But not before admiring the view for a minute.
Just got back from finishing the hike up and down Mount Washington, and it was so cool. So I was alone for a good, maybe the first quarter of it, and then I kept leapfrogging with this group of hikers. I would pass them, they'd pass me, and after doing that for a little while, they asked if I wanted to join them, and I said, yeah, sure, why not? So we hiked the remaining 2 miles up and the 4 miles back down to the bottom, and God, that was awesome. I couldn't have asked for that to be better, quite honestly. Beat the hell out of doing it alone, and I would have done it alone, it would have taken way longer, I think, too. Huge shout out to Alyssa, Braden, Everett, and Taylor for doing the hike with me. That was awesome. You guys should hit me up. I'll send you some free merch or whatever. But yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sticking out the hike with me and for making that a good time. That was awesome. I am wiped out. Smell like shit. I got to figure out what the hell I'm doing next. So here's the part again where I don't exactly have a plan for what I'm doing next. So I think I'm going back to Haystack Road to camp again, where I camped the last couple nights. I don't know. I think I'm making my way to northern Vermont tomorrow. In a week I'll be home. So realistically, I've got 6 days of hiking. 5. I ain't hiking tomorrow. My feet and my shins and my knees are beat to hell right now. Probably won't recover until well after tomorrow. So God, that could not have been a better day, quite honestly. Anyway.
While I was happy to cross another peak off the list, I was also anticipating going home. My overall mood had changed, and I was filming much less than before. After this, I didn't talk to the camera for a couple of days.
It's been 2 days since I hiked Mount Washington. And let me say, so immediately after I hiked, I chilled out for like an hour, and I got up to get food, and I was in pain after that, man. Like, boy, I was sore from that hike, and I think there's only one reason for that. It's really just because I was trying to hike to keep up with that group. That's the only thing about when I hike with other people is I hike much faster than I normally would. And not a bad thing at all, just I definitely needed a day to recover for sure. So like I said, I hiked it 2 days ago. Yesterday I woke up, I was still in a ton of pain. So I decided take a day to chill out and hopefully I'll be better today. And that was the case. So what I did yesterday was I got up and then I decided to head in the direction of the next peak I want to climb and find a campsite in that area, which is what I did. So I'm here in the northern part of the Green Mountain National Forest up around Stowe, Vermont. The next goal is to hike Mount Mansfield. I'm probably going to camp out here one more night, take one more day just to chill out, really make sure my legs are recovering and everything. And then we're going to take on Mount Mansfield. We're going to do the shortest but also the most difficult trail, which is the Hellbrook Trail. And I'm actually really excited for that because it's supposed to be a lot of climbing and just a lot of difficult terrain going up. And I'm very excited for that. So that might be the last real peak we do before we go home, because as it stands right now, I've got, I believe, 4 days before I go home. Tomorrow I'm going to try to attempt Mount Mansfield. And then I'm probably going to camp here another night. Then I'm not sure. I'll have maybe 2 days left after that. And I might just catch a sunset, maybe a sunrise, and then pretty much be going home. It's weird. I don't exactly know how to end this. I can't believe 45 days is already done, and it's been a wild ride. I've learned a lot just about camping, about myself, about what works and what doesn't for me, and I feel like I need more time out here, but at the same time, I gotta go home. God, it just feels so weird to be at this point. I remember day one like it was yesterday, how naive I was, how much I just didn't know and didn't understand about being out here. But yeah, it's been crazy. Didn't make some of the peaks, but that was kind of to be expected. But I made an adventure out of it. It's crazy to be at the end. Seriously. I wonder what the hell I'm gonna do when I go home. Aside from edit a lot of this stuff for a while, and I don't know. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be so weird getting back used to being home. I'm used to doing this every day now. It's definitely gonna be weird to go home. But yeah, it's time. Mount Mansfield. Chill out a day or two, then home. Yeah. We're getting there. This is almost it. Crazy. So today is going to be the final big hike of the trip that we're doing. Thank you. So anyway, today we're going to be hiking up Mount Mansfield via the Hellbrook Trail. It's the shortest and also the most difficult trail to get up Mount Mansfield, and so I'm going to go be tackling that today. This is the final peak of the trip, really, and the final big hike. It's weird to finally be at the end, and I keep saying that, but this is the last big one. I think I just gotta give it my all, film what I can, and hopefully see a killer view from the top. But this is it. This is the last big hike. I guess it's time to go get it out of the way. It should take me 6-7 hours to complete. I'm expecting a 3-hour climb, at least a 3-hour climb down, I'm thinking. But yeah, I'm gonna go hike. Tallest peak in Vermont. Last peak of the trip.
From here, I would make a few key mistakes, which would prevent me from reaching the peak and would make this the most dangerous hike of the entire trip. You may be wondering what exactly I did wrong. I thought I had reached the peak, but I hadn't. This behind me is the peak.
So, made a couple miscalculations. Directly out in front of me is the actual peak of Mansfield, and right now I'm sitting on the chin, just kind of taking in the view, soaking it all in, and it's awesome up here. But I'm not going to the top. Like I said, I made a miscalculation, partially because of the info on all trails. Trusted a little too much again. It's not the first time it's happened this trip, but it's gonna be about another, I'd guesstimate, a mile. I mean, I'm looking out behind the camera at the trail. I'm seeing people climbing this, and I'm not too keen on going forward. If I'm climbing to the top, I'd be taking long trail back. I'd have to walk along 108 for some undetermined amount of time. I was expecting this to be a 3, maybe 4 mile hike tops, and that's turning it into a 6 to 7 per se, and I'm not really equipped for that. So,
not only was I ill-equipped, but if I had pressed on, I would have been hiking down in the dark due to my late start. So I made the decision to hike back the way I came. I admired the scenery one last time, and then started my descent back into the tree line. And a few minutes later, I would encounter my first obstacle. What made this dangerous was how slick it was. That slip was an accident, but the next one would not be. And that's how I would handle a lot of the steep sections moving forward. In sections like this, I could hold on to roots on the side to slow myself as I slid down. I would have to slide a few more times. Like here, 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 and here. And aside from that, I would have to navigate some tricky terrain. and eventually I would make it back to the car in one piece. And that's how I finished the final hike. So we're at the end, and it's been quite a journey. From the coasts of Maine to the forests of Vermont and the peaks of New Hampshire, it was really a spectacular adventure. And while I didn't finish all of my goals, I learned a lot about hiking, traveling, and myself in the process. And I'm greatly anticipating my next adventure. Which leads us to the question of what's next for me. Well, the United States is pretty big, and I've never seen the West Coast.